Hello, back for the new year, and we're going to start nice and simple with a quick modification to this hangboard. You might remember a few months ago I made this contraption back here, which is a helpful reminder for me to do finger exercises to get nice strong fingers, but I also want to be able to do pull-ups on here to get nice strong arms as well. But
as you can see, there's not really a good spot to hold on to up here.
So my fingers are the limiting factor and my arms aren't getting a workout at all. So we're going to do a quick little modification for this so that I can do some pull-ups more easily on this thing without absolutely knackering my fingers. And I want to avoid injury if at all possible. So that's the goal. Let's get into it. My first instinct is to just leave this thing attached to the wall while I build the little extra bits and then try and screw them in while it's still attached to the wall. But I think there's just not that much room in between the top of the hangboard and the ceiling. So I think it'll be much easier in the long run if I just take this thing down, even though I really don't want to. But I think future me will thank me if I just take it off now and do it properly. So I'm gonna do that. Whoop, we got it off. And I'm just realizing that I'm gonna have to put those screws back in and my forearms are burning. So that'll be fun, but let's go and build something. So I think the plan is just to add a little bump bit to each side here that will give me something to actually hold on to. And I've got a little scrap of 2x4 here, which I think will be just about perfect for the job. It'll just take a bit of shaping and then a bit of screwing, and we should be good to go.
The first thing I had to do was take some nice accurate measurements, but as you can see, there's not a lot of room to play with here. Then I could transfer those measurements over to the block of wood and get cutting. With the basic shape cut out, it was time for some even more precise measurements. Obviously, this is a really simple project, and I think it's just a nice way for me to get back into the groove of making things after a few weeks off over the holiday period, which I hope you all had a great time. And this follows on from something I was talking about last year about how big a project needs to be, and I think there's a temptation to always do the most magnificent, biggest project you can, but so often I find that stops me from doing anything because it's too big to even get started. So starting with something small is just such a good way for me to build some momentum and get back into the workshop. I also get something practical at the end and the satisfaction of making something myself, which is just such a big bonus. I'm making these parts by hand, but if you want to skip the hard work and have the parts show up at your door, then check out today's sponsor, PCBWay. They can help out with a whole bunch of services that you might not be able to do yourself, such as PCB manufacturing and assembly, CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, 3D printing, and even injection molding. All you need to do is simply upload your designs to the website and then choose from a massive range of materials and finishes to get an instant quote for your parts. They'll even check over your designs for you to make sure you get the best possible result. And before long, your parts will magically arrive at your door. So if you want to have access to all of these manufacturing capabilities at an affordable price, then check out PCBWay using the link in the description. Thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it.
So I got my two little bits. All that I need to do now is actually attach them to the hangboard. I've got the holes drilled that will let me put these beefy screws through. But as you can see, they've got a countersunk head and they're going to stick up a whole bunch. So I'm just going to try and countersink these holes a little bit so that I don't snag my finger on that screw head. You might have noticed there that I was going in reverse on the hand drill. And that's because I find otherwise you can get tear out really easily when trying to do these like shallow countersink things. So I've been doing it in reverse and that seems to do the trick. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think it's good enough. Not perfect, but good enough.
With a whole bunch more screwing, everything is attached back onto the hangboard and then onto the wall, and it's ready to try out, which I was pretty excited about.
So, after all that, these are the complete wrong shape. So I think I'm gonna have to take it down and do it all over again. I was just trying to make it fit into the flat spot in between this cutout and the round bit here, but that means that I can only get 3 fingers on it, and so it's just not ideal. So I'm gonna take it back down and we're gonna make something else instead. These things definitely didn't work. They're too narrow and they're too short and they're just a bit shit, really. But what I have got is this nice long bit of dowel, which should be a much nicer thing to grab onto. And as I'm trying to emulate a bar, why not use a bar? That's a real red hot thought for you. So yeah, I'm gonna use this instead, and we'll just have to do a bit of modification to it before we can put it on the board. I've now cut that down to the right size, but I think I want to try and put a nice flat spot along the length of this so that it's going to sit better on the actual hangboard. And I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do that, but I've got an idea. So I'll just quickly set something up and we'll give it a try.
This is by no means a fancy setup or anything at all novel, but it's something that I haven't done before because the plane is a relatively new tool to me and I'm pretty excited about it. Basically, I'm just running the plane along the flat of the bench and then up against the dowel as well, cutting a nice flat spot in it.
So I think that might work. I'll bring you in for a better shot. I think that's pretty good. There is a little bit of tear out just here, but I think otherwise that's pretty good. It's a lot better, I think, than any other method I could have used. The plane is such a cool tool. It's honestly so cool. And I had to use these little offcuts here to stop the clamps from because I needed the clamp out of the way of the path of the plane. But if I put it on the edge like this, it was just twisting the bar. So I needed to put these little offcuts in so that it would stop it from twisting over. And that seemed to do the trick really well. So just got to drill some holes in it and then mount it on that bad boy. Ignore all those chairs in the background. We've got a bunch of crap in here at the moment. We've got an old dining table and chairs. Ignore that. We're just going to put this onto that. I was about to start drilling, but then I realized I needed a bit of a bigger flat spot. So I've set it back up and I've figured out a much better way to set it up, because in the last one, the plane would start off the table and so it was really unstable getting started. But now just running it along the edge of the table like this, I can have the plane resting on the surface the whole way. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, should be a lot better. I'll quickly take a few more passes and then we can get to the actual drilling.
I don't know if it's just because it's quite new to me still, but the plane seems like such a magical tool. The way it can just slice a little sliver off the wood is just incredible to watch, and it feels amazing to use. So I'm so excited to keep using it in the future. This particular plane has plastic handles, which is something that I would like to fix. So if you'd like to see a future video where I make wooden ones instead, let me know in the comments.
The holes are drilled to size, but just like last time, I need to countersink them so that I don't snag my fingers on any sticking up screws. So I'm gonna, oh God. I'm gonna do that. The holes are all drilled and it's ready to attach, but I'm not going to attach it just yet because there's something else I want to do to it first.
I've done a little bit of wood carving on the channel before, and it's something that I really enjoy, but I do not do enough of. So I'm taking the opportunity where I can get it to get in a little bit of practice and have some fun with it as well.
Up until now, all of the letters have been just straight lines, which has made it very easy. But now we're onto the tricky ones. We've got a G and a question mark, which is going to be a little interesting, so we'll see how we go. It's not perfect, but I don't think perfection's the point. I think it's probably as good as it's going to get.
It was really hard to get those curved bits, but I think it turned out pretty well. When I showed my girlfriend, she said that it looked like it was from a horror movie. So, I mean, swings and roundabouts. In an attempt to soften it all a bit, I'm going to put some white paint over it, and then when I sand it back, it should leave the white paint only in the grooves, which should help polish it off a bit. I know it's such a silly pun that I'm carving onto this thing, but it makes me smile, and I think we could all do with a bit more of that in this world. The only thing left to do was to screw it onto the hangboard, and then screw that back into the wall. And I gotta tell you, the size of these screws means that screwing them in all the way is such a forearm pump. I was getting a workout without even using the hangboard. So then it was finally time to give it a try. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm pretty excited about how it turned out. As always, thank you so much to the members for helping support the channel, and thanks to you for watching. I hope to see you again soon.